Welcome to the Canned Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. Season 3, Episode 27, and if you're counting from the beginning, we're at Episode 98. And this season we are bringing you The World in a Can, and today we're bringing you a little slice of Germany. But before we do, our wine nerd word of the week, which is Ullage. Ullage is the space left in a bottle and barrels as wine evaporates. So it's that little bit of air space in there. So that's our wine nerd word of the week. And our can of the week is the 1 Zweit Zero, 250 milliliter. It doesn't contain any alcohol. It's a no alcohol Riesling with 50.6 grams per liter of sugar. So it's very low sugar. And if you're also paying attention, we had opened this one before, but that was a previous vintage. And I've clutched the introduction away from our esteemed guest, the Dean of Dealcoholization. Dean, are you there?
I'm here, Brad. Hello.
Hey, I know normally you would introduce the can of the week, but I wanted to let you say a little bit about the winemaker because I know you have some insight into that.
Yeah, the winemaker is Johannes Lietz, who's from the famous Rheingau region in Germany. It's about a 20-mile stretch along the Rhine River that grows mostly Riesling grapes. Historic winery in the family since 1744, and he's improved it as well as the whole region with his winery.
Exactly, and his motto is, I won't try the German, but it's quality wine production begins with the vine. So they take it right from the beginning. Now, this wine came from Artisan Wines and Liquors in Beacon, New York, right on, I think it's Main Street there, down towards the west end of it. And they always have a decent selection of not only non-alcohol wines, but of other wines in cans and many other liquors. We're able to look beyond the container, but obviously this is the Canned Wine Podcast, so that's what our focus is. And Lietz has really done a very good job with this. They don't spare the techniques or the production in making it. And Riesling itself is a white grape that is thought to originate in the Rhine area. And the Rhine runs from Holland to Switzerland, but the area you described is a small stretch of it that is particularly noted for producing great varieties of Riesling. And Riesling is an aromatic grape variety. It's the world's 20th most grown grape, but don't let the 20th steer you down the wrong path because it's one of the top 3 white wine varieties. And it's very terroir expressive, which means if the soil conditions and terroir is different, it shows in the wine. And one of the interesting things about it is, while we're talking about interesting acronyms, as it ages, it can develop an aromatic called TDN, which is 1,16-trimethyl dihydronaphthalene. And if that smells like or sounds like gasoline, it kind of smells like it too. And in aged Rieslings, it can be a pleasant thing, or it may be a little overpowering if you're not used to it. So that's one of the strange things about the Riesling grape. So that's what I know about that. And Dean, you have a little information on the German group that specializes in production of high quality wines, don't you?
I do, and the Lietz Vineyard is part of that. It's called the VDP, the Verband Deutscher Produktionswein, and they have their own set of criteria for producing high quality wines that is higher than the German government. And so there's about 200 wineries that adhere to this, and Lietz is one of them.
Exactly, and he's done a lot to reinvigorate and restore the reputation of that area that you were talking about, just to bring it back to its its former glory and really bring up the quality production of wines there. Now, as we do on the Canned Wine Podcast, we open wines and talk about it, and I'm ready to open mine. Are you ready there, Dean?
I'm ready.
Okay, without any countdown. Oh, it has a really nice sparkle to it. Obviously, it's artificially carbonated, but I would say there's what you could call pearlage. Obviously, no legs because it has no alcohol in it. Let's have a smell. These aren't aged very much, so I don't smell any, what was that, TDN in there. But I do smell apples, white fruits, maybe some lime.
I smell a little citrus for sure.
Crisp. Not too sweet by any means.
Very tasty.
From what I remember from our previous opening, it was similar. Light color, I'd say sandy, almost a honey color. What are you seeing?
Boy, mine seems to be almost clear, just a tinge of color in it.
Yeah, it has a good mouthfeel though. It's not. It has a certain thickness to it, which I'm liking.
It has a little body, and from what I understand, the little bit of sugar that's in there is what's carrying the flavor.
Yeah. Now, how do they? Is this a spin cone type of production? How do they get the alcohol out?
They use the vacuum evaporator or vacuum distillation method. They heat it up to about 80 degrees, and that dries off the alcohol under vacuum. And so that drives the alcohol off without bruising the flavors or getting rid of the other liquid in there.
Yeah, and for people that are keeping track as well, that's 80 Fahrenheit. I think they had said 30 Celsius, which is quite a low temperature. But by reducing the pressure, you're able to get it to the alcohol to boil off. And maybe they reintroduce some of those volatiles back into it to give it some flavor. What would you pair this with? They say crostini, maybe goat's cheese, butter, an Asian chicken casserole, something like that. I could see it going on with all of those, or maybe just as an aperitif before you had any light meal. What are you thinking, Dean?
The aperitif was in my notes as well, and mussels or seafood in general would be a good match.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Our shout out this week goes to Ken, who we were having a riveting discussion about a rather large wine container, and it turns out that the 6-liter size is known as the Methuselah or Imperial, and that's according to by the Wine School of Philadelphia. So somebody with the credentials and knowledge says that a 6-liter wine bottle is a Methuselah or an Imperial. I don't think I've ever had one that big, and 250 mLs is a long way from 6 liters. I could do the math, but on it. And our head scratcher. Oh, another shout out to our friends from Niagara and the Lake who are currently in Spain enjoying a vacation there, enjoying all manner of wine and Moorish architecture. Slightly jealous here in New York when it's as cold as I remember it being, but I hear the warm weather is coming next week. Not enough cold weather to ruin the Riesling grapes, which are quite popular up in Niagara and the Finger Lakes area, but it's probably close. Our head scratcher answer for last week was what was the name of the German grape that was a parent of the Aromella? That was the Gewürztraminer, was one of the grandparents rather than the parents. And the other, this week's head scratcher, we had somebody answer that quite quickly last week, and they got a genuine canned wine podcast postcard sent to them in the U.S. mail, so they should be getting it soon. Appreciate that, and anyone else that writes a comment or answers the question on YouTube, or you can answer questions on Spotify as well. Send us a note. What country leads in the production of non-alcohol wines? We've asked this question before, but I think it bears repeating, so feel free to answer that, and we look forward to hearing your comments and answers. In closing, thank you for tuning into the Canned Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. Remember, as always, to enjoy responsibly, and just because it comes in a can doesn't mean you can drink and drive. And even though this has no alcohol, I probably wouldn't drink and drive with it because it's just too nice to not be focused on it. And Dean, thanks for showing up again and being our Dean of de-alcoholization. It's always not something that I would have tried if I wasn't doing the podcast, but I'm really enjoying some of these. And we do have another red coming up, correct?
Yes, we do. I forgot the name of it, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, and that's the Sparkling Red by Shirley, the people that gave us a decent rosé that we opened in Central Park, the Shirley Champagne style that I found to be probably one of the top non-alcoholic white sparkling that we had. It was almost as good as that Eau Joy, which was a decent wine as well. Now they've come out with a Sparkling Red, so that's a category that people seem to like and one that they're catering to. So we'll be opening that shortly after our 100th episode, which is steaming up on us like a ocean liner in a sea full of icebergs. So we're not saying something's going to happen, but something's going to happen. So without any further foreshadowing, Dean, thank you again, and we appreciate you joining us from Lynchburg, Virginia.
Always a pleasure to be here, Brad.
Okay, and we'll continue our riveting wine conversations in the weeks ahead. So the Canned Wine Podcast is a Center Stage Productions, all rights reserved.